Family Check, it is right here on Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for joining us. Now, our topic of conversation today on Family Check is on foster care. That is what we will be looking at, and I have three people in studio with me to just get into this conversation, and I will allow my guests to introduce themselves, beginning with the far left, that is Mr. Hudson.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Hudson Mbai, working for the Director of Children's Services in the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizen Affairs, Director of Children's Services. Thank you.
Agnes.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Agnes Wanjiku from Githunguri, Kiambu County, and I'm a foster parent.
All right, Peter.
Thank you, Vivian. I'm Peter Kamau. I work at Child in Family Focus Kenya, which is an organization that supports children's homes get to connect children with families. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, if we may just begin by defining what foster care is, and maybe if we can get to know the difference between foster care and adoption. Mr. Hudson.
Thank you, our host, Madam Vivian. Before I begin, allow me to also acknowledge the leadership of our CS, Dr. Alfred Tua, together with the peers in charge of the State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizenship Affairs, for the leadership they've offered us and for allowing us to be part of this interview. We don't take it for granted. Back to your question on foster care. Foster care, as defined by the legal instruments which guide implementation of alternative family care in Kenya, is telling us that when we talk about foster care, we are actually saying it is a form of arrangement whereby a child or children are placed under an individual who is not necessarily a parent, a relative, or a guardian to a child in question. And before you are placed with a child, then assessment has to be done just to confirm that you are meeting the criteria that is provided for within the Act, as well as the foster care regulations, and in consultation with the various national care reform supportive documents. You've also wanted to us to bring it to the attention of the viewers, the difference between foster care and adoption. These are all care options available to children who, for one reason or the other, cannot be brought up within the normal, natural family setup. So for adoption, we are saying, by its very nature, it is temporal. Temporal in the sense that it is defined in terms of period under which that child must be placed with that foster care parent. So for foster care, we are saying it is running from a day to a year, subject to renewal for a period of at least 2 years, so that in the aggregate, a child then stays within foster care for 3 years. If a parent or the situation dictates that that child continues staying within foster care, then now we have to do it through the legal system, which is the courts, whereby now an application can be done by the foster parent seeking for extension. So it is happening within the children's court, whereas adoption is a permanent way of taking care of a child within the family, although it can be reversed under special circumstances, and those grounds have to be proven beyond reasonable doubt. So for foster care, basically we are saying it's temporal, adoption is permanent. And as you talk about foster care, we are offering these children an opportunity to be within families owing to the situation that is happening back at home. It could be a crisis, and therefore, if it is resolved, that child is able to go back to the family through what we are calling reunification to the family of origin or the nuclear family where the child came from.
Okay, thank you so much for clarifying that. Now, to you, Madam Agnes, you are a foster parent.
Yeah.
What drove you into that? What made you get into that space where you said, I want to be taking in children who probably need parental care at a specific time? What drove you to do that?
Oh, thank you, Madam Vivian. To me, what drove me closer to the fostering, I got married and my firstborn was a disabled child. I never expected myself to be in meetings of those parents, and when we were together with them, we came across some parents have some challenges like rejection and kuabandoniwa. But as we were discussing, I came across some children are struggling in the villages, in the community, and apart from that, in children's home where I was brought up, we came across many children were rejected by the families. It was a call to me. It is just a call because I love children.
Yeah.
And I feel for them. And that's why I joined this organization, and I fostered a child by a son, and it is a second fostering. The first one was a boy, and he was united by to the parents.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping even this one, by the will of God, he will be reunited by to the family.
Okay,
Thank
you. When you were getting into fostering, ulianzia wapi? Like ulianzia wapi ndo ukafika mpaka ukaweza kupatiwa mtoto wa kwanza, ukawa ukamwangalia, alafu sasa akaenda akarudi kwa the biological parents, and then sasa uko kwa ya pili. Maybe tu kwa yule ambaye anatuangalia sasa hivi na angetaka kukua a foster parent, mtu anaanzia wapi?
To me, kuna mkutano ilikuwa huko Githunguri kwa social health, and some parents were invited. I was not invited because sikujua, but a friend of mine who was there akakuja akaniambia kuna this process of fostering, and amekuwa akiona napenda watoto, nashughulikia watoto ambao sio wetu. Sio, we are not related. Na kuna watoto wengine nilikuwa nachukua nakaa na wao from side za Ruaka, na wakitaka kurudi shule wanarudi kwa watu wao na baki hivyo. Saa Kenya kilinifanya sana kuchukua huyu mtoto kipenye nilianzia. Saa wakati wenye nilikuwa watoto kulikuwa na hiyo meeting nilienda nikaingia kwa hiyo organization, and I went through the training. Na wakaona I'm able, so nikaitishwa requirements of which is good conduct. I did, na nikaonekana I'm able, and from there nilifoster huyu mtoto.
Okay.
Yeah, nilifoster watoto.
All right.
And I'm happy.
All right,
Yeah.
you're doing a good job, thank you. Now, for you, Peter, maybe what strategies, if you can just take us through the strategies that are taken or that are used to ensure or to pick out foster parents?
Oh, thank you, Vivian. Indeed, we are really happy when Kenyans come forward and offer to give a home and open their hearts to children. Mostly those that are in vulnerable and orphan situations. And a parent like Agnes and her husband and family, together with many others in Kenya, are parents we celebrate on this very special week and always, because we as a country are moving away from over-reliance on institutional care for children. Institutional care is where children are many under the care of few caregivers. Children's homes do their best to offer these children the best care that they can, but we all know that when one caregiver is taking care of around 40 children, it's very difficult to accord these children the love, give them the sense of identity and belonging that they require. And so Kenya launched a strategy that is called the Care Reform Strategy in the year 2022. And this strategy is about transforming the way Kenya cares for its children, whereby the reliance on institutions for care of children is supposed to reduce on an ongoing basis. And we encourage community and family-based care. And so when it comes to foster care and who qualifies, the Children Act 2022 is very clear on what the requirements or the criteria is. Number one, you have to be 25 years and older and not over 65. Number two, you have to have a good criminal sort of history. You're not involved in criminal activities, and that's why Agnes here mentioned that a good conduct is one of the requirements. We also encourage that parents involve their biological children in the process for those that have biological children. Agnes is a mother of 4, and together with their foster child, there are 4 children. And so her own children have to consent to this foster care arrangement. Also, we have to get support letters from the church as well as the chief to ascertain that this couple is actually well suited for this process. And so we also ensure that the social workers from the government, because it's a collaborative effort, go to assess the family. After they have availed all the needed paperwork, they have to be assessed. A home visit is made. So what are your plans for this child? Ataka wapi? Where is the room? How do you intend to work on education as well as seeing the child get the best care possible? And so after the assessment, the family will be normally certified if they qualify. And after the certification, it's also very important that before that certification happens that they get trained. And so Agnes here, together with her husband, had to attend a 3-day training where they were trained about all aspects of childcare, especially handling children who have come from hard places. You know, a child who is abandoned, a child who is orphaned would have some trauma. How do you address that? Or how do you help the child heal from that kind of experience? And so those are some of the requirements. And normally, after the assessment and certification, it means now we proceed to actually matching the family with a child who is in need. And we have 2 different kind of arrangements. For instance, we have the emergency foster care. The emergency foster care is when a family is ready for a child anytime who is brought to their care temporarily. And the long-term foster care, as my brother from the government has mentioned, normally would go for 3 years. It means the first year, then it's renewed, etc., till the 3rd year, and then permanency options are pursued. Yes.
All right. Now, Hudson, maybe why is there a push right now for more of family and community-based care rather than the institutional care? And when we're talking about the community-based care, how does that look like?
Yeah, thank you so much, Vivian, for that important question. The reason as to why the government is pushing for children to be brought up within families. Just like Mr. PK has alluded to, we are working based on evidence-informed decision-making. The research that was done globally places children in the region of 90 to 100%, those who are staying within institution, to be having at least one relative or caregiver back at home. And Kenya as a country, we did also a situational analysis in the year 2018 just to understand the scenario as it is in Kenya. And for sure, I can be able to tell you that it is conforming to the global research that was done. And we realized that many children who are within the institution have at least one relative or caregiver back at home. So we are saying out of that research, it also informed the advantages of a child being brought up within the family, in that it is assisting this child to be identified within the family, to get support networks within the family and the larger community. And therefore, a child benefits more when he has been brought up within the family as opposed to being brought about within the institution. Because then institution has been demonstrated to have some harm when it comes to the emotional development of the child, the social interaction, as well as the milestones achieved for these children as compared to those who have been brought up within the family. And that's why he mentioned that as a country, we have the new law that is guiding implementation of care reforms. We also have the National Care Reform for Children. We have other supportive documents that are guiding implementation of alternative care, and in this case, in particular, foster care. We have what we are calling the standard operating procedures for implementation of alternative family care, foster care included. We also have what we are calling the case management package for integration, and these documents are online. Kenyans who are able to access the internet, they could be able to download these documents, which we are saying they are online. So the package is actually guiding step by step how foster care can be implemented. And above all, we have the regulations that are about to be gazetted to also assist and give an impetus on how to implement foster care within the country. Yes.
On community-based care.
Yes.
How does that look like? You know, we know the institutional care, whereby it's a big children's home, there are children who are there. When we're talking about community-based care, what are we looking at?
Thank you. For community-based care, we are saying that child is placed within a family, and maybe with someone like our sister here, Madam Agnes, so that then that child is able to be looked after at a personal level. Because if you look at the institution, then we are talking about a system that is somehow rigid, that is not able to provide personalized attention, but that is being provided within family setup, where our sister here is also coming in handy to support.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So to you, Madam Agnes, you have your 4 biological children. So wakati ambao ulikuwa unaleta this foster child, uliwatayarisha kivipi?
Asante, Madam Vivian. Nilipo enda kuchukua huyu mtoto, nilikaa siku 5 kuambia watoto wangu tutakuwa na brother. Pia na tukiwa na brother tupendane. Sasa walikuwa wananiambia watakuja lini, atakuja lini. So the time niliona wako ready, ndio nilienda nikaongea na organization na counselor na social worker, nikawaambia sasa watoto wangu wako tayari, now the baby can come in. So, from that time mtoto akaletwa, and from that time up to date wamekuwa na bonding mzuri. They love each other, and he belongs to our family.
Okay, that's really nice. Now, maybe to you, Peter, you know, as a foster family, of course, they may need to be assisted in one or another. So maybe how do we go about, or how do you go about providing resources and maybe services that may be of help to these foster parents so that they are able to bring up the foster children in a conducive environment, and whereby they are also able to provide?
Thank you, Vivian. First and foremost, foster care process is a very collaborative process. It means different stakeholders work together to ensure that it succeeds. Government has to lead the process, and from the assessments and the vettings, we really rely on the government to guide and lead on that. We work with the churches, for instance, in recruitment of families. You have to go to churches and talk to them about the fact that children are out there in need of care and protection in family settings. Of course, we do not demonize children's homes, but we really affirm and encourage them, because for the many years the government relied on them to help take care of children. They did, and many continue to do the best they can. But then, as Mr. Imbai has mentioned, we have research that demonstrates that there is challenges with that kind of care for children. In fact, allow me to mention that one of the rules of thumb from UNICEF is that for every 3 months, a child under the age of 3 years is in a children's home, that child loses 1 month of development. So you can imagine, chronologically, a child who is 1 year has lost how many months of development, and do your math to be able to tell that indeed the longer we continue keeping these children in such settings, then the bigger a challenge it is. And so as an organization, together with other partners, we are very, very passionate about ensuring that we journey alongside foster parents. And we have counselors, we have social workers that we work with to continually be in the know of how the child and the family are doing. After placement, they call them weekly for a start. And as time goes on, as they adjust, then they reduce the number of calls and the number of visits. But also, for example, Agnes here has a child who's been hospitalized twice. And Agnes has had to sleep with that child in hospital for a week. And so you can imagine the difficulties that brings to the family dynamics. It means as an organization, together with the government, we ensure that the family is visited. We ensure that the care for the other children is not compromised. We ensure that the bills are catered for so that it is not taking a toll on the family. Other than also getting our social workers and counselors to journey alongside the families, for those that are caring for children in emergency care, ensuring that we continue to journey with them even in reunification efforts. You know, when there is a problem in the family, we are on hand to ensure that there is support, but also not forgetting that it takes community and it takes a village to raise a child. So we are even appealing to churches and saying, the church near Madam Agnes's home, how can they come around and be a wraparound support for Agnes so that she does not feel isolated and alone. And so this is a very collaborative process, and organizations like Child in Family Focus, working with the government of Kenya, together with even the churches and the mosques and all entities, even children's homes, have to make it succeed. Think about it. A child who is going into foster care because the child is abandoned may not go to a children's home at the beginning. But there are children who are in children's homes currently that qualify for foster care. So it means that even the children's home has got a role to indeed ensure that they direct the support that we're giving the child from the institution to the family. And so it is very collaborative. And as I always say, we are encouraging just like a magnet, as opposed to children's homes drawing children from the community to themselves. We are telling children's homes you can actually repurpose and be taking the support to the children in the communities. And that way then you're even able to reach more, and you're able to ensure that that dollar or shilling goes way far in as far as caring for children in communities and families is concerned. So the supports are varied, and we are really happy that collaborating with the government and other stakeholders, we are succeeding in ensuring that children get the best. Yes.
And still on the same breath, Mr. Hudson, you know, speaking from the government perspective, what exactly are you doing as the government in offering services and maybe resources to foster families?
Yeah, thank you so much, Vivian, for that, again, very good question. As government, we are doing a lot. Remember, we are here talking about the Foster Care Week. So as I had talked earlier, our CS, Dr. Alfred Mutua, with support of our PS, Mr. Joseph Mutari, have supported us in creating an enabling environment. Right now, we are talking about Foster Care Week. That will be a national event to be celebrated in Murang'a on 1st of November 2024. So we are saying it's a week because now the celebrations begin today with various efforts at the sub-county, county, and even regional level, just to have an opportunity to create awareness on the existing legal framework as provided for under the Children Act. We are also creating, through this Foster Care Week, creating an awareness on foster care, and also showcasing the implementation of piloting in foster care that has happened in various counties. To be specific, right now we are in close to 15 counties. So this is an opportunity for the government, and particularly the Director of Children's Services, through the support of our leadership, to showcase what has been undergoing in other counties, in what we are calling the demonstration counties. It is also an opportunity for us now to call on government plus the other stakeholders to come out strongly and also allocate resources to enable us champion our implementation of foster care, both at the sub-county, county, regional, and even at the national level.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, and as we wind up, maybe to you, Madam Mary, tukimalizia weza kutueleza, how do you deal with that emotional separation? Because umechukua mtoto, amekuja akakaa kwako for a certain period of time, and then now they need to go back. Maybe they're going back to their biological families. How do you deal with that? But before we get into that, we know that there is the passing out of the Kenya Forest Service cadets that is happening in Gilgil, Nakuru County, and we will be getting to that in a bit. And before we get to that, probably back to you, Agnes. Una deal vipi na hiyo? The emotional separation now. Ameshakuja, ameingia kwenye familia. He's one of the brothers to your children, and then now they have to leave because maybe their parents are now stable enough. How do you deal with that?
Asante. It is painful because you have bonded with this child.
Yeah.
He belongs to that family, and imekuja wakati saa separation imeingia. That child, he knows you, he knows that family, and hata yeye anashindwa, Mom, where are you taking me? So you have, ikifika that time, you are prepared that it is not permanent, it is a temporary process. So mtoto, you have to release that child to go back to the family, and unapelekwa unapelekwa mafunzo pamoja na watoto to release the child, so that utakuwa ukimtembelea, now you bond with that family and you become one.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, now we'll head straight to Gilgil, Nakuru County, where the passing out of the Kenya Forest Service cadets is taking place right now, and it is being presided by the President of the Republic of Kenya. As you can see right there on our screens, that is what is taking place. And remember, over 500 cadets are graduating today. Actually, to be specific, we have 569 cadets who are passing out today. And if we can just go directly to